believe I got an Oscar. Can't believe it. I'm serious. I'm not saying it's not deserved. I'm just saying I can't believe they ever got one. People don't want unredeemed stories. People want to feel good. I remember walking into one studio meeting and saying, I know you've seen a lot of feel-good directors. How about a feel-bad director? Hi! It's my starting point for almost everything I do is desperation. The feeling that I should do something rather than nothing, which isn't always the best choice. I'd been thrown out of a number of universities as a graduate student, and I needed to find something to do with myself. I worked for a German director, Werner Herzog, and then I made my own film. And I started filming in a crazy kind of way. They call it being a contrarian, but maybe there's a simpler way to describe it. The desire to just simply say, fuck you. Wasn't interested in verite, wasn't interested in handheld cameras, wasn't interested in using lightweight equipment. Instead, I did interviews, or kind of interviews. I put the camera on a tripod. Instead of observing people, I had people, in some real sense, observing me. They were looking directly at the camera. And I wasn't smart enough to know that this was perhaps a very bad and dangerous decision, because I was perhaps shooting a movie that couldn't be edited. As a result of saying, fuck you, I myself was fucked. And that was Gates of Heaven. I love this idea of an interview without questions. When I was interviewing murderers and their families, I saw it as a test. Could I get someone to just talk for 30 minutes without hearing my voice on the tape? And it turns out I could. I had waited over 2 years to get this interview with the killer, and my camera broke down. And I came back the next day with a tape recorder, which is kind of, you feel a little bit diminished. I don't have a camera, I don't have a cameraman. All I have is a tape recorder, which is how really I started out. On that tape recording, you hear David Harris's voice and you hear my voice. And it became very much part of the movie.
Would you say that Adams is a pretty unlucky fellow?
Definitely. What for bad luck, you wouldn't have none.
What was the bad luck?
We had a number of things, you know. Depends how you want to look at it.
I think I am an investigator at heart. I really do. I want to find things out. The Thin Blue Line is a perfect example of that kind of thing. Where was I going? I had no idea, except that I suspected that there had been a terrible miscarriage of justice, and I pursued it, overturning Randall Adams' conviction, getting him out of prison, providing the evidence to show that David Harris was the real killer. So you don't get to do that every day. You're talking to someone who is really, really deeply insecure. Someone once said to me, you'll talk to anybody. You'll invite the elevator operator up to the editing room to look at a cut and ask him what he thinks. How do I know what I think until I ask at least 100 other people? Then maybe I can come to some kind of conclusion. You know, I think there's something to be said for deep insecurity and uncertainty, because that's how I work. That's what I have to work with. I guess the flip side of insecurity and uncertainty is obstinacy, and I can be very, very, very obstinate. I dream that someday I would just have an idea and I would just shoot it. That's what I wanted. But it's never worked out that way. It's always been a tortured, convoluted process from thinking about something and then turning it into something. I wish it had a more linear quality, but for me it never has. I wouldn't recommend this, by the way, as a career choice. But if you're a crazy person, you're obsessive and compelled to do this kind of stuff, it's not a question of making a choice, you do it. I have a movie opening about Steve and Kay Bannon, which was another odd excursion. I wanted to talk to Steve Bannon because I felt that he was a central part of Trump's success in 2016. He helped make him president of the United States. For me, one of the most appalling things that's happened during my lifetime. I found out that he had been a film producer and a filmmaker. I also found out that he produced a dozen documentary films, in part because he was inspired by me. Great. I've inspired a monster. To me, truth is linguistic in this sense, that we're interested in the relationship between language and the world. The cat is black, true or false? Maybe this is a very crude and simplistic way of putting it, but in The Thin Blue Line, I was interested in a very simple question. Did Randall Dale Adams shoot this Dallas police officer? True or false? In a way, it's a really simple question, but resolving it, not so simple.
Did we land on the moon? True or false?
True. In the atmosphere, there are all of these molecules, this Brownian motion, molecules flying around. On the moon, where they have this clump of dust, and you watch it just fall under the force of gravity to the surface of the moon, unimpeded by any kind of atmosphere. I guess if you really wanted to fake it, you could produce this in a studio, but I think it would be pretty goddamn hard. I don't know why I do what I do. I don't know if it's really even a choice. It may be more like a compulsion, an obsession. Is that embarrassing to say that I kind of like filmmaking, I kind of like writing, I kind of like thinking, and I'm lucky. I'm very, 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 very lucky.